Goshen, a professional astrologer from the village of Nyack in New York State, and I'm passionate about in-depth astrology and getting to the heart of the matter. In this video, I want to talk about the planet Uranus, the Awakener. And while Uranus is currently traveling through the sign of Taurus, it affects each and every one of you, because no matter where Uranus is currently, it's activating something in your chart in some kind of way. And all of you also have Uranus in your natal charts. So let's begin with that. What is the energy of Uranus and what does it signify in our natal charts? So Uranus is known as the Awakener because it brings sudden, often shocking change, and can also bring about the awakening of consciousness or a spiritual awakening in people's lives. It was discovered in 1781 during a time of great change, great upheaval in the world. We saw the abolition of serfdom. We saw the rise of the Industrial Revolution. We saw a revolution in France. We saw the American Revolutionary War. And so much change was taking place. And when a planet is discovered, whatever is going on at that time historically tends to help astrologers to gain an understanding of how that planet works. With this advent of all these global events, the status quo was swept away. And this is how Uranus also works in our natal chart. Whatever house you have Uranus in your natal chart is going to be the area of your life that is unusual, that is different, that has a lot of change or upheaval going on in it. And it doesn't necessarily have to be positive or negative. It simply signifies transitions, changes, upheaval, and often we need some upheaval in our life to bring about things that result in good, positive energy coming in. For example, the abolition of serfdom. There was a lot of upheaval that eventually brought that about, but it was ultimately a good thing for the world. So let's look a little bit closer at what Uranus is going to do when it activates your natal chart by transit or by another kind of direction in astrology. What can happen is you can have some kind of awakening where you awaken to a dissatisfaction in your life, realizing that you don't want things to continue the way they are. You're actually dissatisfied, and this propels you towards individuation. So the transits of Uranus are about becoming more of who you are, awakening to yourself and wanting to be more of an individual. And depending on what area of your chart is being activated by Uranus at the time, this can cause a lot of changes. Changes at work, changes in your personality and identity, changes in your relationship, changes at home, moving to a new state, to a new city, to a new country. So let's talk a little bit about what Uranus is doing in 2023 and beyond. So during 2022, Uranus was traveling through 10 to 15 degrees of Taurus. What does that mean? It means for Taurus suns, if your birthday is approximately April 29th to May 6th, you're going to have had direct contact from Uranus, bringing a tremendous amount of change into your life. And depending on which house your sun is in, that is going to be where the change took place. Now, Capricorn and Virgo, I invite you to think about, are you born around the first of the month? And have you also had that impact from Uranus? Now I want you to think about fixed signs, because I know that all of you also understand these modes in astrology by now. There are 4 fixed signs. They are Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, and Aquarius. So picture this. If Uranus is currently traveling through the fixed sign of Taurus, it is going to be making a square aspect to those of you who have your suns in Leo or Aquarius. And it's going to be making an opposition aspect, 180 degrees, to those of you who have your suns in Scorpio. And of course, depending on what degree your sun is in, that is going to be the year that you receive that boost for change. Because no matter what happens, Uranus is going to shake up that status quo and bring about some kind of awakening so that you can individuate more and there can be change in your life which gets you back on track, onto a new track perhaps, but onto a track of what is promised in your natal chart. Now, think about this. It does not only apply to your sun sign. Many of you, I know this from the wonderful comments you post, know your ascendant sign. So do you have a fixed sign on your ascendant or your rising sign? Same thing. Is your rising sign Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, or Aquarius? You're going to have that visit from Uranus coming to your ascendant and then traveling through your first house. Uranus is going to be for the whole of 2023 through the degrees of 14 to 23 Taurus. So go to astro.com, print out your chart. You're going to need your place of birth, your time of birth, very important for the ascendant, and your date of birth. On that chart, you will find something saying ASC, that is your ascendant. Find out the degree. If it's in one of those fixed signs, and if it's between 14 and 23 degrees of Taurus, you're going to have a visit from Uranus this year, energizing your identity, asking you to shift things up and to go with the flow, to go with change. And that can be a challenge for fixed signs because many of you like to keep things as they are. The status quo can be calming to you, but I invite you to embrace this. And a way for all of us to think about it, and for those of you who are not a fixed sun or rising, don't go away because this is applying to you too. Think about this, everyone. We all get a visit from Uranus when it contacts our natal Uranus in our chart at these special ages, 21, 42, 61, and then around 84. So at 21, it's a square. Uranus squares itself, and we feel that agitation. We're 21, we want to leave home, we want to be independent. And for so many of us, it can be so frustrating if we don't have the ability to spread our wings at that time, because Uranus is agitating us, it's pushing us, it's saying go forth and be yourself. Individuate, separate from your parents. Then around the age, it could be 41, 42, 43, we experience the Uranus opposition. Again, Uranus is coming into our life to say, are you satisfied with the job that you're in? If you're not, this is the time to make a change. And there's usually some kind of a crisis around that during that age, or some kind of awakening. Oh, I'm meant to be doing something else. I'm not comfortable in this role I'm playing in my life, and I need to make a change. Because by that time, middle age is upon you, and you can feel that if you don't make a change now, you're going to be stuck for a long time. Then again at around age 61, 62, usually 63, we get the closing square of Uranus. And that asks us to reassess those changes that we made at 42. Did we really want to get divorced? Or was it just a precipitous action? Where are we now? Perhaps we are alone. Or was that job change a good idea because now we're in a position where we can start to think about retirement? So it's a very sensitive time when Uranus forms a relationship to itself in our charts, because we are asked to awaken to what is really needed in our life. And often we have to weigh up the pull of what the personality wants versus the pull of what the spiritual self wants in order to awaken. And then finally, and this is becoming more and more apparent to me as I have older and older clients, because people are living longer, you have this beautiful Uranus return at age 84, which is a very spiritual time. And if you have invested in your spiritual life, this can be a great time of connecting to spirit and of getting ready for the transition to the next world. So let's return to current events 2023. Everyone's excited for that, and on into 2024. If you have Aries rising, Uranus is currently traveling through your second house of finances. So this is where the agitation, the upheaval, and the change is coming. And it's not negative or positive. It simply means like an injection of energy into that house. And things can be topsy-turvy as you find your feet. But try to bring in new sources of income. Try to be flexible. Think about managing your money in a new way. Whatever is new and different in the financial area is good at this time. And Uranus is going to be in Taurus until 2025, when it's going to move into Gemini around June or July. So we have a lot of opportunity for this cycle. And Taurus is an earth sign. So you are able to bring more money in at this time if you are open to new ways of doing that. Let's think about Gemini rising. Gemini rising, you are awaiting that movement of Uranus into your first house in 2025. So how do you prepare for that? It means you currently have Uranus traveling through your 12th house, which is a spiritual area. It's a time that is calling on you to put some energy into your spiritual life. Do something like take a meditation class or go back to your house of worship, whatever works for you. This is the time where you are preparing for something that's going to begin in the middle of 2025, and you want to have your own house in order for that. Now, we've spoken about Taurus and Taurus rising. What about Cancer? Cancer rising, you currently have transiting Uranus from 2018 until 25 in your house of friendship and your house of goals and dreams. That means you really want to be sensitive as to how you can activate that area of your life. If you've had some disappointments in the past few years, don't let them weigh on you, because Uranus is a very quick energy. It wants you to let go of the past and it wants you to try something new. Get on board with new hopes and dreams, with new goals. Create new friendships if you've had disappointments there. Move on. Leo rising, we've spoken about you. You are currently receiving a square aspect from Uranus. So you have it traveling through your house of work. Lots of change at work. Go with the flow. Could be a time of expansion for you. It could be a time of having to relocate for work. Embrace it. Virgo rising, you currently have Uranus traveling through your 9th house. This is expanding opportunities to travel abroad, opportunities to study higher learning, something you've always been interested in, opportunities also for spiritual practice, because the 9th house is about priests or spiritual teachers, meditation, astrology, things that you love. Enjoy that harmonious aspect and take up something new. That is the calling. Rising, you currently have Uranus traveling through your 8th solar house. And this is going to stir up all kinds of new things surrounding your partner's income. If you don't have a partner, it can be around taxation, other money coming in from unexpected sources, inheritance, who knows. The 8th house can also be to do with occult studies or going deeply into something. Also unexpected changes, things that you didn't really know about coming out into the open. So embrace that. Know that this is the area and you are preparing for 2025 when Uranus is going to move into your 9th house and you're going to have opportunities to travel, to study. So you want to prepare for that. Scorpio rising, you of course have Uranus traveling through your 7th house of relationships or partnerships. So this can be business partnerships or your long-term partner. And it can stir things up in those areas because anything that is in the 7th house is opposing your 1st house, which is your identity. So is your partner going through a lot of changes? Is there upheaval or shifts taking place in that area of your life that are ultimately going to be for the good because they're showing you what needs to be worked on in the area of personal or business partnerships? Sagittarius rising, you have transiting Uranus from 2018 until 25 in your whole sign house of health. So you are being asked to transform yourself on a health level, to take care of all outstanding health checks, visits to the doctor, everything you need to do, and to pay attention to diet in a way that by the time 2025 comes along, you have had a 7-year period of revolutionizing your health, getting healthier. And also the area that it's traveling through, the 6th house, can refer to those daily efforts that we make at work. So there might be a lot of changes in your work routine. You might have been switching jobs. You might be taking on an extra job. There might be a lot of things that aren't settled there, and that is all good. It's energizing that area of your chart so that you can get into a new routine and things don't remain stale. Capricorn rising, you have transiting Uranus in Taurus traveling through your 5th house. This is the house of pleasures, the house of relaxation, the house of art and creativity, the house of lovers, and the house of children. So if there are a lot of changes in your life, bringing in a new baby, adopting a child, having changes in your house where your kids move away to college, all those areas that I mentioned could be in flux, and they could be asking you to awaken to a new way of dealing with those areas in your life. Do you relax enough? Capricorn rising, do you relax enough? Do you possibly need to relax more? And what are the changes that are taking place in your life so that this can come about? Aquarius rising, you of course have transiting Uranus traveling through your 4th house. Have you moved in the last few years, or do you plan to move? Because Uranus wants you to move and it wants you to lift up a level when you move. So it looks like positive transitions. If your ascendant is in the early degrees of Aquarius, you've already gone through that Uranus transit over your ascendant. If it's in the mid to later degrees of Aquarius, you are going to experience that shift from Uranus as it encourages you to move or to energize your house, maybe just to simply paint your house, But whatever's happening, change in the home is promised in order to mix up the status quo and to bring something fresh into your life. Pisces rising, you have the current Uranus transit going through your 3rd house, which is representative of your neighborhood, of your siblings, of early education and learning. Have there been any changes in the way you communicate? Radical changes, over the past few years. Maybe you suddenly stopped going into the office and you're working from home. This is a major transition. Maybe you've moved to a new community and integrated with new neighbors, and new energies are coming in for you in that area. The 3rd house is also about our brothers and sisters. Are they going through major changes? And how can you assist them with that? So for everybody, I invite you to focus on the positive elements of change. The best way to deal with this is to be receptive. What is life trying to show you and to teach you? Don't turn away from what's right in front of your face. Uranus is there to give you a shock so that you wake up and say, oh, I can change things so that I'm more satisfied, but in a way that is not hurtful to other people and that is not selfish. Uranus is meant to be an energy where we awaken to what is truly needed in our life to become a more whole person. So I wish each and every one of you a beautiful holiday season. Please post your comments. I love each and every one. If you enjoy this channel, subscribe, and I will see you next time.